So, hi students, thank you so much for logging on today. We're so excited to be here for our Women in Tech and Accounting event with PwC. I do hear someone breathing, so if you want to go ahead and just mute yourself quickly, um, just until you need to speak, that would be great. But we're so excited to have some great representatives here from PwC. It's going to be a fantastic event all about females in tech and accounting. Um, so just a second here. So how you can communicate today, I know that a lot of you have already heard this quite a few times, but we have the chat box, the Q&A box, and then if you'd like, you can also feel free to raise your hand, which you can see down at the bottom. So the chat box, feel free to, talk amongst yourself, share any personal stories, share anything that may relate to the content today. And then the Q&A box, of course, is where you can ask any and all questions that you may have for our panelists today. So we will be doing a Q&A session at the end. So we'll try to get to as many of those questions as we can, but please feel free to put questions in there throughout the event. And then, like I said, you can raise your hand if you'd like to ask a question out loud. Feel more than free to raise your hand, and then we can go ahead and unmute you. So just to quickly introduce myself, my name is Rosie. I'm the events manager at Pathway CTM. So I get to host all of the events that we do just like this. And then I also do a lot of behind the scenes work with the events. So just to kind of get everyone involved, we're going to do a quick poll. I'm going to go ahead and launch it now. And I'll give you about 1 minute. So I'll give you until 6:05-ish to fill this out. The first question we have is, what region are you located in? What are you thinking of doing when you leave school? And then, have you attended a Pathway CTM event before? So I'll give you until 6:05 to go ahead and answer this question. Great, over 72% of you have already voted. About 30 more seconds here. Great. Well, the poll has been up for 1 minute. Most of you have voted, so I'll go ahead and share these results. What region are you located in? Most of you in Greater London. That's great. As we said in the beginning, as Lori said, they have locations all over the UK. So really doesn't matter where you're located. PwC has tons of locations and opportunities within them. What are you thinking of doing when you leave school? About 20% of you said apprenticeship, about 70% of you said university, and about 6% of you said other, you don't know. Yeah, that's fantastic to hear. You'll learn a ton about PwC's Flying Start program today and the opportunities that they have for you. So some of you might actually change your mind after hearing what PwC has to say today. And then, have you attended a Pathway CTM event before? 80% of you said no. That's great. Please do feel free to sign up for the program. I know you've heard it tons of times. I'll put the link in the bio, or sorry, in the chat again, so that you can go ahead and sign up. So here we go. Now I'll hand it over to you, PwC.
Great, thank you very much. And hi everyone, and good evening, and thanks very much for joining us this evening. As I mentioned before, my name's Laurie. I work in the student recruitment team at PwC. I'm based in Manchester, and as you can see behind me, I'm still in the office. I've worked at PwC for just over 4 years now. It's a great place to work, and the great thing is we've got lots of opportunities for students, and we're going to be talking predominantly about our Flying Start degree programs, and I'm joined by Hema and Faye, and they're going to be sharing their experiences. So we've got a bit of an action-packed agenda for you. So we're going to be just giving a bit of an introduction in terms of who PwC are. Rosie, if you wouldn't mind moving on, thank you. So who are PwC? I'm going to be giving a quick overview because there might be some of you on this call who haven't heard of us or want to find out a little bit more. Then we're going to be talking about our Flying Start degree in accounting, and I'm going to pass over to my colleague Heather, who's actually done the degree program, and she'll be sharing a bit more information about that. Then we're going to be talking about our technology Flying Start program, and Faye's going to be sharing her experiences. I'm going to be talking through our brand new Flying Start business management program, and then we're going to be opening up to any questions that you might have. Okay, so on to the first agenda point. Who are PwC? So we are a professional services firm, and what that means is we work with different businesses across the UK and also globally, and we solve their business problems. So Rosie, if you wouldn't mind skipping a couple of slides, that'd be great. Now, we have one main purpose, and that is to build trust in society and solve important problems. So some of you may be familiar with PwC already. You may know us as a big accountancy firm, and some of you might never have heard of us. We always tell students that you can't necessarily go into a shop and buy a PwC product, as we don't actually make or sell a thing. Our product is our people. So we have experts in all sorts of business areas. So accounting, yes, but also areas like cybersecurity, forensic technology, legal, digital audit, consulting, etc. So lots of business areas and areas to join. And businesses and clients come to us to get expert advice from our people on how to improve, maybe change or manage their business and make decisions. So essentially, that is what we do. We support our businesses and clients. So on to the next slide, it tells you a little bit of an overview about us. Now, we have over 22,000 employees in the UK, so quite a large organisation, but we're based in over 150 countries worldwide, which is really exciting because it not only means that, we work with companies from all over the world, but it also means that, PwC employees can kind of come and go. So we have people who come and work with us in the UK from different territories, but likewise, there's lots of opportunities as well. If maybe global mobility is something that you're interested in, maybe working in another country in the future, then there's definitely opportunities there. In the UK, we have over 20 offices. So as I mentioned before, I'm based in Manchester, but we've got offices all over. So if you're looking to work in Scotland, Wales, Ireland, the Midlands, London, then we've got lots of offices across the UK. And in terms of our size and scale, we work with over 25,000 clients. So we're definitely kept very busy, but it makes it really exciting because some of these clients will be large multinational firms who you'll have heard of, but there might also be small firms, startup businesses, family businesses, etc. And what makes PwC so great for us in the recruitment team is that we're one of the UK's largest recruiters. So we have lots of opportunities for school leavers, but also undergraduates and graduates who have done a degree as well. So on to the next slide, Rosie. So what do we do? So I've kind of given a bit of an overview already. We basically provide industry-focused services for public and private clients, and we want to be recognised as one of the leading professional services firms. So we really focus on our purpose and values to inform the services and the decisions that we make for our clients. And as you can see on the side of the screen there, there's listed our business areas, or what we call internally as lines of service. So obviously audits up there, technology, risk, consulting, operate, tax. I won't go into all of them because that will literally take a whole session, but we've got a wealth of information on our careers website. So if you want to learn what an actuary does, or if you're interested in legal and how that how that works at PwC, then do check out our website after this session. And we're really focused on inclusion and diversity. So Rosie, if you wouldn't mind skipping to the next slide, and this kind of outlines our 5-point inclusion and diversity action plan. So you'll see that we're very invested in creating an inclusive culture, and this very much stems from, inclusive leadership skills and kind of sustained engagement and our communication strategy. We also want to ensure senior level accountability. We want to make sure that we have fair allocation of work and opportunities to make sure that all of our people from diverse backgrounds are in key roles throughout the firm. And we also have focused recruitment activity as well. So we have things such as compulsory unconscious bias training and making sure that recruiters, whether they're in experienced hire or student recruitment like me, making sure that they're trained to ensure that they are hiring fairly and without bias. And obviously we value the importance of inclusion and diversity because we're such a diverse organisation, and we want to make sure that we have the best people working for us. So on to the next slide. Again, it kind of just is a little bit of a wheel there in terms of the different kind of focuses that we have on inclusion at PwC. So kind of looking at the kind of the gender piece, because obviously this is a Women in Tech and Accounting event. We were the funding sponsor of the Women on Boards in the UK, and our people are able to attend their professional development seminars, which is great. We featured in the Times Top 50 Employers for Women every year since its launch 10 years ago, which is something we're really proud of, and obviously we want to continue being featured there. We have a Tech She Can charter, and PwC are actually a founding signatory of the charter, pledging to increase representation of women in tech. The charter is actually 3 years old now, and it's grown from 18 companies back then to actually 191 now, and it launched as Tech We Can lesson plans to all UK schools, which is aimed at inspiring school students, especially girls, to consider a career in technology. And obviously everybody hopefully on this call today is interested in technology, and we'll be able to talk a little bit about our programs and how that might be of interest to you shortly. So on to the next slide. Obviously we talked about recruitment, and at PwC in the student recruitment team we have lots of opportunities and events where we want to attract the diverse talent. So for example, we have a program called Women in Business, which takes place in July every year. This is for undergraduate students, so if you do decide to go to university, then you can take part in our Women in Business program if you're in your first or penultimate year. It's a 3-day virtual paid work experience program, and it allows female students to be able to shadow a number of female employees across the firm. But it is open to all, like all of our roles are. As I mentioned, we have a number of events. So we have inclusion and diversity events. These take place in autumn and spring, and they include lots of talks and discussions around various topics of inclusion and diversity. Last year, we held our first Inclusion and Diversity Week, and it was really well attended. We had over 2,500 students join. So again, if you're interested in that, keep your eyes peeled on our events website. We also have a Black Talent in Business programme, which again is a virtual paid work experience for undergraduates, similar to Women in Business. And then we also have our Females of the Future, which is designed to boost confidence and resilience, and it includes talks from inspiring PwC leaders. So again, all this information can be found on our website, but just a little bit of a snapshot as to how the student recruitment team really want to attract diverse talent within the firm. So on to the next slide, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the teams that you could join. And I mentioned some of our business areas or lines of service a few slides ago. But here it kind of clearly outlines the different lines of service and how you can join. So for example, audit, we're going to be talking about next. Hemma's going to present those slides, and she's going to be talking about our Flying Start degree programme. But you also can join audit straight from university. So whatever degree you study, whether it's psychology, whether it's marketing, whether it's maths, you could come and join audit. And again, I won't talk through all of these, but hopefully this gives you a little bit of a snapshot. Some of the lines of service, so for example, actuarial, legal, risk, you can only join as a graduate, which means you need to go to university and study a degree. But there are other areas, so audit, consulting, deals, for example, where you can join as an apprentice or as a graduate. So again, a little bit of a snapshot there, but all this information is on our website. Okay, so without much further ado, I'm going to pass over to my colleague Hemma, who's going to talk a little bit about the Flying Start accounting programme. So Hemma, over to you.
Thanks, Laurie. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. So I basically am going to walk you through kind of the Flying Start degree that PwC does with various universities now. But let me just give you a quick debrief on who I am and a bit about me. So I'm Hemma. I did the Flying Start degree at Newcastle University. So it's basically a uni degree that's sponsored by PwC, and you do placements and your qualification at university. So you end up being a fully chartered fully chartered accountant in 4 years instead of what it would normally take is 6 years. So I'll speak more about myself later, but if you could pass over to the next slide, Rosie, and I'll just speak a bit about PwC, just so you know kind of the different lines of service and the key ones that we do offer, which kind of follows on from Laurie's session. So our main 3 business areas are audit, tax and deals, which you can see on screen there. I guess so in terms of audit, that's the main core business of PwC. So that's kind of checking companies' accounts and making sure they're true and fair. And it's basically kind of the fundamentals that you need to be an accountant. Next is tax. So that's kind of anything on corporation tax, kind of companies tax, personal tax. We kind of help clients manage their tax risk, understand their obligations, and kind of deal with complex legislation. And then finally, deals. So that's helping a business go through mergers and acquisitions. So that could be kind of valuing a business. It could be kind of checking the historical financial information. It could be looking at their forecast information, dealing with restructuring, or kind of listing the company on the share market and refinancing. So there's a wide range of things you could do within PwC within accounting and audit, tax and deals. But this just kind of is a quick sneak preview of what we do at PwC. So a bit about the degree. So the degree is called Flying Start Accounting. And it is at various universities now. So when I was at uni, it was only at Newcastle. You guys are very lucky. You've got a wide range of unis to choose from now. So you've got Manchester, Newcastle, Nottingham, Reading, and we've just off the press opened one at Queen Mary in London, and that's starting September next year. So the degree, basically, it's a 4-year degree at university, and you do 3 work placements during your degree, and they change depending what uni you pick. But the way it works is you probably do about 3 months during placement, and the rest of the time you're at university. You still have your standard Christmas and some holidays as is any other degree. But the work placements are paid, and they are with PwC. You get put in kind of an office anywhere in the UK, depending on what your preference is. And then during your uni time, you start working your way towards becoming a chartered accountant. So you do 12 of your 15 ACA exams during university, and you also gain a university degree in BSc Hons. So you do 12 of your 15 exams, you do 3 paid work placements, and you get a degree at the end of it, which means that once you do finish university, which is your 4 years, all you have to do is your final 3 exams to be ACA qualified, and just finish some of your time that you need to do on work. This is very different to if you did kind of a standard accounting and finance degree. So a lot of my friends at uni did do that. And it means that at uni, you do your 3 years at uni, but then after that, you have to do your 15 exams to become a chartered accountant, and you have to do 3 years worth of work experience. So you've got like a uni degree of 3 years and do another 3 years to become chartered. Whereas a Flying Start degree means you basically can do it between 4 and 5 years, which shows kind of how quick it is compared to a normal degree. So the entry requirements depend on the uni that you pick, but they range between 3 A's and 2 A's and a B. And obviously you kind of have to do something on top of your normal UCAS requirements. So you have to do kind of get a behaviour-based assessment and then also a video interview, because you're applying for a job at PwC as well as applying to a uni degree. You kind of have to do both. But that means that when you do eventually finish your uni degree, you don't need to do it again, because provided you get a 2-1 or above, you'll get a job at PwC guaranteed, provided you pass your exams and your work placement. So you kind of get all that hardship out of the way when you're at school rather than later down the line. New for this year, we also offer a financial bursary to those who are from a lower socioeconomic background, and that's to support with kind of day-to-day costs of uni life. If you meet the eligibility criteria, you can let us know, and it's found on our website for the autumn 2022 intake. and you would receive a £10,000 bursary, which is non-payable back, so that's just to you, and that's split over the 4 years of your degree. So a bit about the Flying Start program structure. So I've kind of walked you through briefly what it's about. So your first year, you do a normal uni degree, you're in campus as you are, as expected, in line with any other degree. Your second year, you do your first placement at PwC and you do some of your ACA exams. The same with your third year. And then your final year, you do a bit more time at PwC, a bit more work placement, and you finish ACA exams. And provided you graduate with a 2-1 or above, you can qualify at PwC and get a job at the end of it without needing to redo kind of the whole assessment process. Okay, so now that I've run kind of the logistics and the technical side of things, I'll tell you a bit about kind of my journey at PwC. So I guess the reason why I initially applied to the course was because my year of uni was where the uni fees went up from £3,000 a year to £9,000 a year. So I thought to myself, I'm not going to do a degree for kind of no job at the end of it, waste £9,000 a year and not get any outcome from it. So that's when I started digging into kind of what degree can I do where I can maybe get a job at the end of it, or I can maybe speed up the process for me becoming a chartered accountant. And this came up. So initially I never thought, oh, I want to become a chartered accountant. This is my dream. That was not the case at all. I liked studying maths and I liked kind of that was the basic of what I enjoyed. So that's kind of why I started to go down the accounting route. And I came up with this. So kind of at school, there are a lot of challenges that I'm sure you're aware that you have to overcome. So deciding what uni to go to, what course to do, what job to apply for. And I guess this degree kind of ticks off a lot of that because you've only got 5 unis to choose from, and the course means that you become a chartered accountant and have a job at the end of it. So I mean, I'm really pro this course because a lot of my friends, like I said, did the standard accounting degree. They had to find a job at the end of it. They had to do their 15 exams after uni, and I was well underway with my career when they just started it. So it's just something to think about when you do kind of think about these sort of challenges at school. So school for me, I love school. I made lots of lifelong friends there. I learned kind of how to do my exams, how to study, and that's obviously important when you go on to uni. Worries and challenges wise was obviously I want to pass my exams, I want to get into uni, I want to get a good degree. That's probably the same for everybody. And the way that you juggle kind of your personal life and your school life, you carry on doing that during uni and then again with your career. So right now I juggle kind of personal life and work life, so those kind of things that you start to learn during school, you bring that through to kind of your later life. So life at PwC for me, so like I said, I started my degree doing the Flying Start accounting degree and I was in audit originally. Then once I qualified, honestly, PwC's got so many services to offer. The world is your oyster, including where you're located. So I moved across to deals after I qualified. Did a couple of years in deals, and then I'm now part of the talent engagement team, which is basically kind of promoting this degree and helping coordinate it. And the reason why I'm doing it is purely because I feel so passionate about the degree. Like I said, a lot of my friends did normal accounting degrees and they qualified 3 years after me, and it put into perspective how good the degree is. And I just feel like more people need to know about it. Like I said, I did the research when I was at school, but kind of wish I took part in these events so I could find out about the degree easily. So a bit about PwC life. It's very sociable. There's so many people that you can kind of do things with outside of work. Like Laurie said, we've got loads of networks, kind of diverse and inclusive networks to choose from, which is great. Female life at PwC is actually really great too. Hopefully you can see on our website in the annual report, we've got so many PwC partners, which are basically the top level at PwC, which is great to see. And we have great maternity pay. Some recent thing that you might have seen in the news, we now pay for time off if people struggle to kind of get pregnant and need to do fertility treatments, and that's a very new thing PwC offers, and no other Big Four does do that, so that's something to think about. And then we do kind of part-time opportunities if you want to spend time with your kids later down the line. And we've got kind of a new deal at the moment, which means kind of you could do a 40-60% split of working from the office and working from home, which again helps with kind of if you have kids in the future. So female life at PwC, I would say, is definitely great, and there's so many opportunities to choose from. It's definitely something to think about, and I'm definitely a big fan of working here. So, I mean, that's quite hard to fit such a great degree in such a short space of time, but that's my accounting spiel done. So I'll pass over to Faye to talk about the technology side of things.
Thank you
very
That was
much.
fantastic.
Right. So hi everyone. I'm Faye. I hope you can hear me okay. So I'm in my final year of the Tech Degree Apprenticeship Programme at Leeds University. So I'm just going to kind of speak a little bit about that today for you. So if you can go on the next slide, please. Yeah. So we do our placements on the Tech Degree Apprenticeship Programme in many of these teams that you can see on the screen here. So for example, I've done a majority of my placement across a few of these teams. So, but mainly within data and also tech risk, which is kind of part of tech consulting. So I've had the opportunity to kind of build up skills within a few areas, such as like cloud, data visualization and dashboarding, and also a bit of programming as well. So I can offer them skills to various projects, and I've gotten the chance to work on quite a few of them. So I'll also explain a couple more of these for you. So I noticed cybersecurity was mentioned in the chat, so let's talk a bit about that now. So we have quite a big cybersecurity team at PwC. So we've got our own confidential and restricted data information. So we have our own internal team to support us as well. But we've got teams that kind of go externally and help with other businesses and clients to protect themselves against cyber attacks and other vulnerabilities. So we've even got like a team of ethical hackers as well, which is pretty cool. So I got to actually meet them at a training event a couple of months ago. So it was great to hear about that. Another team, so artificial intelligence, it's a massive area right now. So we're doing quite a lot of exciting things in that. So we have our software robotics to help clients to operate their business more efficiently and then automate them repetitive tasks that they don't really want to do. And then they can then free up their workforce to then do things that are less repetitive and more utilizing their employees' capabilities. So if we just go on to the next slide. So hopefully you're quite excited about this opportunity as well. Just talk a bit about how to join them. The technology degree apprenticeship, which I'm on, is a good way to do that and get involved. So the apprenticeship, obviously kind of the best of both worlds. You attend one of the universities, so that can be Leeds, Birmingham or Queen's, Belfast, to study computer science on a 4-year programme with 3 placements throughout the 4 years. So I'll talk a bit more about the actual pathway in a bit. So one of the main selling points, I guess, is that they pay your tuition fees to the university and then also pay you a competitive salary as well for the 4 years, which means no student debt, and you have enough money to kind of support yourself while you're away at uni. So the entry requirements do differ depending on which uni you go to, so it's probably best to do a bit of research to get that information from the different university websites. But some unis also have a grade lowering program, such as the Access to Leeds, which I personally went through as well, where you can get entry requirements lowered as well. So if you go to the next slide, please. So a bit of detail at how the program is structured. So in year 1, you're a normal full-time student studying computer science. So you'll be working with everyone else who is studying computer science at that university. And then in the summer after your first year, you do a 10-week placement in one of the PwC technology teams, which you can like fill out your preferences and get assigned somewhere to do that 10-week placement. And then you have a bit of a break before going back for your second year at university. And then the second year, you're a full-time student, you just join the rest of your cohort. And then after that, you do another 10-week placement over the summer. And then you have another 2-week break before then you do your full year placement, just as if you were doing a year in industry. And then, so that's going to be your 3rd year at PwC in a team of your choice. You can change teams throughout as well. So I was in tech consulting, for example, in my first placement, and then I kind of moved into tech risk after that. And then after you finished your placement, and this is where I'm at right now, So I go back to uni for my 4th year, and then this year I'll finish my degree. And then if I pass with a 2-1, then I'll be offered a graduate role. So next slide, please. So I'll just talk a bit about my journey to the TDA program, to where I am right now. So I suppose, what did I dream of doing at first? So I always, very early on, I know I wanted to do something to do with STEM. So I quite liked my sciences and my mathematics. So then when I was looking at options, I then chose to do computer science and engineering in particular. And then I found I really, really liked computer science. So that's kind of what I've stuck with. But then it was kind of figuring out what to do within that kind of field, which I kind of struggled with quite a bit. So at school, I got quite a lot of support off friends and teachers. And I was very, very lucky in the sense that my computer science student teacher and my engineering teacher were both women as well, which was really nice. Good to see role models in that sense. So after that, then I was kind of looking into what to do after school. So I didn't really know if I wanted to do an apprenticeship or a degree, because I wanted that element of work experience. And I didn't know if I would get the job at the end if I just went down the degree route, basically. That was my big worry. So when I looked into it, then I found the tech degree program, which I then applied to, because it's like the best of both worlds, and I didn't have to choose between an apprenticeship and a degree. So I found it was ideal, so I applied. And then when I got in, I then was able to just go into university as a normal student for the most part, and then have that separation between my university life and my work life as well. So like during my university, I just work as a normal student does. I can go to different societies and keep that good work-life balance. And then also when I go into placements, I can also continue to do kind of stuff with the university as well. So stuff like these events that we're doing right now, other social events, and also getting involved with other initiatives, such as the female mentoring scheme, in which I'm a mentor for another student within Leeds University. So that's really, really good for me. And kind of getting that experience as well, not just within technology, but in the wider scheme of things with soft skills as well. So mentoring, presentation skills, things like that. So yeah, so during my placement, I do quite a lot of different projects, primarily, like I said, mentioned before, creating data dashboards, doing a bit of programming, and also getting involved with other fields as well. So one that I've kind of settled into quite nicely is the field of accessibility, and performing accessibility audits on programs and websites, just to kind of assess them for accessibility issues. So that's probably something that I've been really grateful to get involved in, and something I really want to pursue. So yeah, that's me. I'm just going to pass back to Laurie now. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Faye. That was really informative. We have lots of questions for you.
Thank you.
Okay, so hi everyone, I'm back again. Okay, so if we could move on to the next screen, which talks about our Flying Start Business Management degree. And onto the next slide, Rosie, please. So really exciting in that this year we have launched a brand new Flying Start Business Management degree programme. Now students will do their placements and hopefully receive a grad job offer in Operate, which you might remember was one of the business units that I mentioned in one of the earlier slides, and this is based out of our Belfast office. Now, Operate transforms and delivers complex operational solutions for clients to meet regulatory, risk and compliance challenges, and it does this out of multiple teams, including financial crime and customer onboarding, which is the team who ensures that clients comply with anti-money laundering regulations. Now, it's one of the most rapidly growing teams at PwC. As you can see on the map there, it kind of shows the total headcount, and Operate is split all across the UK. But as you can see, we've got 1,446 very specific members of staff based out of Belfast, which is where the degree programme is based in. So Operate has a dedicated technology team whose focus is to look at how to use specialist technologies such as automation, AI and data analytics to create efficiencies and drive revenue growth internally. So this means that if you're part of the programme, you'll be constantly working on new technologies, which we will invest heavily into you in regards to training and development. And we have actually just opened a brand new office in Belfast, which is called Merchant Square, which looks very snazzy. I've not had the chance to go over yet and see it, but I know a few colleagues have, and apparently it's really nice office. So yeah, really great opportunity, and we're very excited about it. So on to the next slide, Rosie. It's just a bit of a fact file. So on this programme, you'd gain a BSc Hons in leading on customer operations with Ulster University, and you would work in the customer management, financial crime or business operations team. Now, how the programme works is kind of on a day release basis. So you'd work 4 days a week at PwC and then 1 day a week at Ulster University. It's a 4-year apprenticeship programme with the prospect of permanent employment, just like all of our other programmes. So if you perform well and you enjoy it and you do a good job, then you'd be made a graduate job offer. In terms of funding, tuition fees are paid for, as well as a salary of 19,500, and all of our salaries are competitive. And on top of that, you'd obviously receive excellent induction training throughout your time with us, as well as the support from Ulster University. So really great programme. So on to the next slide. It's just a few reasons to choose one of our Flying Start programmes. So this applies to all of them, not just the business management course, and I know Hemma and Faye have picked out a few of these already, but it really does allow you to enjoy the best of both worlds. You'll get to attend university but also work at PwC in a highly skilled team. So if you like the idea of having work experience and also a degree, then our Flying Start programs offer that. You will get real client experience. So as Hemma mentioned, you do go through our recruitment process because ultimately you are a PwC member of staff. So you'll get real client projects whilst you're with us, and you'll be able to really make an impact in your team and drive the client's success. You'll get to study at a leading university. Obviously, we mentioned a number of universities you can study at, which is great, and they'll give you all the knowledge, skills and behaviours needed to thrive at PwC. The technology apprenticeship and the business management apprenticeship are fully funded with a highly competitive salary too. And as Hemma mentioned, we've got a financial bursary for our Flying Start degree accounting programme. And then finally, the support. And I think if you speak to any PwC member of staff, they'll always say that the people are the best thing about working at the firm, or one of the best things. And I think that is very much the case here. So the support that you get, from PwC colleagues, your team, your peers, your managers, but also the university, it's really great. And you've got a career coach, you've got a buddy, you've got Flying Start peers or champions, and you'll also have the academic advisor. So you have got that support from both angles, which is great. So, conscious of time, we're doing quite well. We are open to questions. I know we've had a few through on the Q&A function. We've also had some in the chat box. So I don't know, Rosie, are you going to direct questions to us, or do you think we should just pick out ones that have been sent in and just pass them on to the team? How's best of doing this?
Lori, I have been kind of keeping track of some of the questions answered. If you want to kind of look in the Q&A, if there's any specific ones that you think are really important that you get answered, please do feel free to do that. But I can kind of kick off and ask a few of them from the chat while you're checking in there.
Perfect. Yeah. Thanks.
We have one question, and I think this is for the former apprentices. What A levels did you both do? So Faye and Hemma, I believe this question is for you.
Yeah, so A-level wise, I did maths, further maths, computer science and geology. So I don't particularly use the geology now, but it was quite a good science to do. So yeah.
Great, thanks.
And I did maths, biology and economics, but you don't necessarily have to do those A levels to get on the degree. As long as you get 3 A's or 2 A's and a B, then we take quite a lot of different A levels.
And I was going to jump on that. I know we've had a few questions in the chat box around BTECs, and I know somebody's asked around international GCSEs and A-levels. So with our Flying Start degree programmes, you do apply via UCAS, just like you would do with any other university course. Once the university screened the applications and you meet the entry requirements that they've asked for, they'll then send your application over to us, and then we'll get in touch with you. So I would say if you're unsure, definitely check on the university website, because they'll tell you the specific entry requirements. It does vary for university courses, so yeah, if in doubt, check the university website, and then obviously you'd submit your application through UCAS.
Great.
That's just for Flying Start degree programs.
Thanks, Lori. We have another question here. What is kind of your cap on people on the Flying Start program? How many people do you usually accept, or are you expecting to accept this year? Lori, I don't know if that question would be best for you.
Yeah, I was going to say I wasn't sure if Emma was going to jump in there, but yeah. So our so it is. I mean, it is a competitive program, as I mentioned. The university do screen applications in the first instance. Each year the programs are growing, which is great news because we have more places. So typically we kind of have around 40 to 60 places per university, but obviously this does change. And I know sometimes universities do reach out if, say, for example, you weren't successful at in the PwC recruitment process, but you applied for, the accounting Flying Start program at Newcastle, for example, then they will sometimes offer you a place on the non-PwC degree program, if that makes sense. So yeah, we do have a number of roles. It is competitive, it is a really popular program. Obviously you can kind of see why when we talk about the benefits, but if it is something you're really interested in and you like the sound of it, then definitely submit your application. And I know universities are running open days as well alongside our events too. So yeah, the programs are growing, and obviously, as Emma mentioned, we've just launched a brand new program at Queen's, and it kind of goes to show how much PwC and and the board really value the kind of the graduates that we get off the programs, and that kind of demonstrates the kind of the growth in that area. So yeah, it's competitive, but we do have places, so if you're interested, apply.
Definitely. Yeah, nothing to lose by applying in any position. And I know that this has already been stated, but just to kind of reiterate, are all of the Flying Starters paid? And all of the apprenticeship opportunities, are they all kind of paid?
So
Yeah.
the accounting, sorry, Laurie.
No,
So
Emma, you go.
The accounting degree, you get paid work placements. That's a standard salary every month when you're at work, and it is a competitive salary. So kind of, I remember when I was a student, getting that salary was amazing, and I spent my summer traveling the world with a salary. So yeah, it's definitely competitive, and I think it's the same for the technology degree. Is that right, Faye?
Yes, it is. Yeah. So you'll get your salary each year from years 1 to 4. Yeah.
Great, thank
And we
you.
often get a lot of questions around the salary as well. So, I mean, that will obviously be discussed with you if you're made an offer and when your contracts go out. But yeah, we say it's, it's competitive.
Great. But yeah, thank you. And students, keep that in mind when you're thinking about, I know a lot of you said that you were considering university over an apprenticeship, but really keep that in mind. I mean, you heard Hema and Faye, they didn't feel as though they kind of missed out on the university lifestyle. But as she just said, she was able to travel the world with that salary. So definitely keep that in mind when you're thinking about next steps. We have another question here in the chat. Wondering if you're planning on adding any more university locations?
I'll answer that one. So in terms of the accounting one, we've already got, I think it's 5 now. So we're already kind of based all over the UK. So as of now, probably not. But I guess it's important to just think, yes, you've got the universities in these locations, but you'll have your placement where, I don't know, anywhere else in the UK. So it's not like you'll just be stuck, for example, in Manchester doing the Manchester degree and doing all your work placements in Manchester. You have the opportunity to kind of do your work placement somewhere else in the UK. So maybe just think about that. It's not necessarily always a case where you're based where you're working.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Hema. We have a couple questions here. Faye, I think these would be best for you. A couple questions around coding. So what is kind of the training on that like, and do you need prior knowledge of coding if you're interested in the tech Flying Start program?
No, not at all. So when you do your degree, on your times as a student, you will be taught various programming languages. So there's no expectation of prior knowledge of coding at all prior to university. So on your degree, you will learn various coding languages. So I wouldn't worry about that at all when applying.
Great, thank you. Another question we have in students, this is probably the most important answer that you'll hear on this entire event. What are the deadlines for the Flying Start program applications?
Yeah, I'll take that one. So as I mentioned, for the Flying Start degree programs, you apply via UCAS. So the deadline is the UCAS deadline, which off the top of my head is sometime in January.
I think it's
should know this, I know.
26th, Laurie.
Is it the 26th?
Yeah.
26th of Jan. Yeah.
Great, thank you so much. Great, well, I think that's most of the questions here in the chat box answered. Let's go ahead and move over to the Q&A.
Perfect.
We have a question here. What should you do if you don't have enough exposure to STEM, but you think that it may be something that you want to do? And I saw a few questions earlier too, saying, if I don't really love my placement, am I able to switch? What are kind of the policies around maybe switching what you're doing?
So I guess I've been in exactly the same position as everyone on this call. So when I was in sixth form, I had no idea what degree I wanted to do and where I wanted to go. It's hard for you to know at this stage. But I guess for me, so if you like maths, if you like kind of IT or tech, it's probably a good degree for you. You don't need to do maths. You don't need to do kind of the set A levels to get into the degree. So it's not necessary that you have that background. But just do research and see what kind of things these kind of companies do and speak to people. If you know any accountants or if you know of anybody, come to our virtual park events. We have a load of ambassadors coming to those and you can speak to them about it. It's just kind of getting the research. For me, I just thought to myself, I don't want to do a degree for the sake of doing a degree and not having a job at the end of it and not having a qualification. So that's why I did this. And you can change after uni and do what you want. You get a job offer at the end of the degree, but you don't have to accept it. You can go do something else if you want to. So it's not like you're tied into something. It's up to you what you want to do after uni.
Thank you. And Hema, with that, are the job offers guaranteed at the end of the apprenticeship?
So I think it's the same for tech and accounting. You need to get a 2-1 or above to get a job offer. And that basically means get 60% or above and pass all your work placements, and then you'll get one. You won't need to redo the kind of get interview stage or anything like that. Just get a 2-1 or above and you'll get the job offer.
Great, thank you. And then just one more question to kind of go along with that. We have a question wondering if you can try out any teams before you commit to your placement. Is that kind of an option, or are kind of events like these the best way to kind of see the different opportunities?
So we have events like these, and we have virtual park PwC events. And then also we do, I think Laurie mentioned on one of the slides, we do so many kind of work experience opportunities at PwC. Like we have a women in business opportunity, we have black talent in business. And those are kind of like 3 to 5 days of working at PwC, just trying to understand what each of the teams do and things. So just do research in PwC and go on our website to look at all these opportunities to see what kind of thing you want to do. The key thing is you're not going to know what you want to do until you join. So like for me, I didn't know I wanted to do audit, joined audit. Then I was like, oh, I fancy joining deals. So I moved over to deals and now I'm the talent engagement team. So once you're in the door at PwC, there's so many opportunities for you to take part in. Just talk to the teams once you're in and then you can kind of decide what you want to do.
Yeah. Students,
I think
oh, sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to kind of add on to that. And I think, I know that one of the questions was, can we try out like a placement before we kind of commit to it? I mean, obviously at PwC, we are a business, and kind of where our people are based and kind of the roles that they do is based on business needs. So, whilst we do obviously want to kind of put you in a placement, I use that word, that suits you, ultimately, like, if there's a lot of work in a particular area of technology, then that is where, obviously we need people to do the work. So there is a kind of an element of flexibility, and it very much does depend on business needs, similar to placements on the accounting Flying Start program. The business come to us and say, these are the offices that we need Flying Start students to be in, and then that's when we kind of reach out to the students to kind of find out their placement preference. So yeah, we do expect a bit of flexibility and agility. All PwC staff have to have that. I know we've definitely demonstrated it over the past 18 months, but yeah, flexibility and agility is something that we really do look for at PwC. So yeah, just a bit of a disclaimer there. But yeah, we have lots of events, so do come along to them, because you'll be able to find out and hear from lots of ambassadors who work in different areas, so that you can get a bit of a feel of the different teams.
Yeah, thanks so much. And I do see a lot of questions coming in, and I've seen them kind of throughout about, work experience opportunities. Can those be found on the same link to your website that the events are at?
Yes, we do. Yep. So on our careers website, I can link it in the chat actually. Maybe if somebody else answers the next question, I can link it. But yeah, we have opportunities for year 12 students, which is a virtual Insight Week. It's a virtual program that we offer, and again, applications open for that usually early that year. So yeah, if you're interested, then I'd definitely encourage you to sign up to our talent network, because then you get notified via email when opportunities arise. So I'll link all the information in the chat box for you.
Great, thanks, Lori. And I actually do think we have a question for Faye now. So if you want to go ahead and find that, that's perfect. Faye, we have a question. In the technology scheme, what coding languages do you get the opportunity to learn?
So it does depend on university, I guess, because it depends on which ones they prefer their students to use and what fits the modules that they offer. So personally, I started off doing C, some Java, but now I primarily kind of use Python and JavaScript, and my two that I've kind of used on my work placements primarily. But it does depend on which university, which projects you go on, and other things like that. But there's also an element of initiative and learning one that you want to learn. And usually when you have that skill and you've built that up yourself, then opportunities kind of come to you and you can use that. So yeah, just kind of build up a preference of what languages you have, and try and learn bits and pieces of every one you can. And yeah, I suppose that's it really.
Perfect, thanks. And just being conscious of time, I want you to have at least a couple minutes to kind of go through that career hub. But just last question here, you do have to be in year 13 to apply, right? I'm not sure who the best person to answer this would be.
Yeah, sorry.
No,
I'm still chatting away, typing away. Yes, you do. Yes. So to apply for our Flying Start degree programs, you need to be in year 13. So yeah, final year of school or college, because it's a
Great.
university course. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you. So let's move on to the employability hub slide here. And students, I just want to make you aware that if you did ask a question that you maybe didn't hear out loud, there were a lot of questions typed out in that Q&A box. So if you didn't hear your question answered out loud, make sure you check that to see if your question was answered there.
Yeah, and on here, this is our employability hub. So we designed this to help students with our application process, and there's lots of handy hints and tips. As you can see there's some e-learns where you can practice video interviews and learn about our assessment days, but there's also hints and tips on things like the skills that we look for, our values, our purpose, etc. So if you want to check that out, all you can do is just type in PwC's employability hub into your internet browser and it'll pop up, but I'll also leave the link to the employability hub in the chat box too.
Great, thank you so much, Lori. And then we have this slide as well.
Yeah, so as we mentioned, we host lots of events at PwC, and we've also got a series of virtual classroom sessions, which is designed specifically for school and college leavers. So if you're interested in digital audit and data and analytics, we've got one coming up on the 30th of September, so this week. We've got a cybersecurity session on the 7th of October, and then we've also got a parent and teacher session on the 14th. So if you know of any parents and teachers who want to learn a bit more, then again, all those information is on our events page. I have linked that in the chat box, but you can also scan the QR code and it will take you to that, which we really love events. So do come along to those virtual classroom sessions if you can. But I think that pretty much covers everything, doesn't it? Thank you very much to everybody for joining, and Rosie and the team for having us.
Yeah, thanks so much, Lori. And students, I just want to make you know, or kind of point out as well, that PwC does tons of events, and they actually have 2 more coming up with us. So please do go ahead and scan that QR code and it will take you to our events page, where you can see the upcoming events with PwC. The next one is October 12th, and it is an event all about celebrating Black heritage and Black heritage within PwC. So that will be a great event for all of you to attend. And then also I'm going to go ahead and throw a link in the chat box, which will take you to a survey. So please go ahead and fill out that survey so that we can, better all of our events in the future and make them more tailored to exactly what you're looking for. So PwC, thank you so much for being here. It's been a fantastic event. I see, does someone have their hand raised? No, not anymore. Great. So thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate your time. Students, thanks so much for your participation. Amazing questions tonight. And hopefully we'll see you all again very soon.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.